Hello, welcome to the tutorial on the Iowa 21st Century Community Learning Center request for application process. We are very excited to have the RFA, or request for application process, online this year. To access this page, please note that the address is iowa21cclc.com/RFA. I'm going to use this tutorial time to walk you through the document so that you are better prepared to complete your request for application. My name is Crystal Hall, and I work with the Iowa After School Alliance to support the work of the Iowa Department of Education's 21st Century Community Learning Center program. I work in partnership with Vic Jarvis at the Iowa Department of Education. Our contact information is provided throughout this web platform. So should you run into any technical issues or require additional assistance, please feel free to reach out to us. So thank you again for your interest in the RFA process for this upcoming fiscal year. This is federal fiscal year 2022. This document is designed to give you both information and instructions on how to apply for these funds. You'll note that the federal government has awarded the state of Iowa over $7 million to be able to distribute to out-of-school time programs across the state. This program supports the creation of community learning centers to provide academic enrichment opportunities during non-school hours for children, particularly students who attend high poverty and low performing schools. The program, 21st Century Community Learning Centers, helps students to meet state and local standards in core academic subjects such as reading and math, and offers students a broad array of enrichment activities that can complement their regular academic programs. It also offers literacy and other educational services to families participating with children. The official website for 21st Century can be found right here. Now, before you apply, there are a few steps that we need to ensure. First and foremost, an applicant must be an Iowa Department of Education accredited school or a community-based organization partnering with accredited school to apply. Second, your proposed clients must meet a 40% free and reduced price lunch rate for each of the buildings, with a limit of 3 buildings that you hope to apply for. If you do not serve students who qualify for free and reduced price lunch at a rate of 40%, you must stop your application at this point. To find out if your specific building is meeting the 40% free or reduced price lunch threshold, please visit this link that has our buildings listed with the correct percentage. Do not use any other spreadsheet or list to determine your free or reduced price lunch eligibility. We will be relying on the information provided at this particular website to determine your free or reduced price lunch rate and therefore your eligibility. The third action step you'll need to consider before you apply is your compliance status. If you have received a 21st Century Community Learning Center grant in the past and have been found to be non-compliant, you will not be eligible to apply for this round of funding until that non-compliance issue has been resolved. To check on the status of that, please reach out to Vic Jarvis at the Iowa Department of Education. A letter of intent to apply must be submitted for your application to be considered. The letter of intent is to be completed through a SurveyMonkey, and we also suggest that a survey of student needs be completed. We have provided a template of the student needs survey for you in the section below. We'll address in just a moment. In addition to this tutorial, We will also be providing technical assistance in other platforms, either in person or virtual, throughout this fall. One of our very first opportunities will be held on Wednesday, September 22nd from 10 to noon, and this will be held at the morning of our pre-conference workshop for the Impact After School Conference to be held the following 3 days. This will be at the Holiday Inn and Suites located at 4800 Merle Hay Road in Urbandale, Iowa. We will also be considering either in-person or virtual opportunities through the months of October and November to be of assistance to you as you complete your application. Please look at the educateiowa.gov website for additional dates regarding technical assistance. The recording to this tutorial will eventually be found here so that you'll be able to reference this back and make appropriate adjustments to your application. So we want to provide a disclaimer right out of the gate. We strongly encourage you to save your narrative sections of this application in a Word document or a Google document, because you will not be able to save your grant progress and come back to it later in this platform. We have provided a PDF of the full application listed below so you can prepare the materials you need to enter the data into the online platform all at the same time. This section details some important dates. The request for application will go live in September. We will provide technical assistance meetings from September through November. We will provide a training to local evaluators in a webinar in October. Your letter of intent is due through the SurveyMonkey link, which again is linked here on this page, by November 12th, 2021. Your grant application is due December 10th, 2021. It must be uploaded electronically via the web portal by 4 o'clock that afternoon. Please note that no paper copies or hand-delivered copies will be accepted, and there will be no exceptions to those rules. Our grant reviewers will read and score your applications in the months of December and January, and will also require a reviewers conference in January of 2022. We hope to make the award announcement within the months of March or April 2022, with contracts being initiated and finalized between the months of April through June, so that programs can begin their opportunity for programming starting July 1st. The following section includes important links that you'll want to take a look at prior to completing your application. The first is the letter of intent. This document, if I click on it, will take me to the letter of intent so you can see immediately the information that is required. The second document is the full RFA application for you to download as a PDF so that you can prepare ahead of time and know what types of information you will need to enter into this online system and the documents that you will need to collect ahead of time. The third document is our instruction packet. This is available in both a Word and a PDF format. So I'll click on that link for you. This document is designed to be a supportive document to you and your application. This document is multiple pages in length and includes everything, including how to submit your application online, the components that are going to be required within your narrative and the forms required. It also provides you with the guidance needed to successfully complete an application for the Department of Education. This document includes information about the grant itself, including the background, purpose, and eligible applicants. It also includes information, as I scroll down here, about the program components connected to 21st Century. If you are not familiar with the 21st Century grant, we strongly encourage you to download this instruction packet and review. The final two things that are found in this instruction packet include a copy of the rubric, which is used to score the application, and then also it includes all appendices that will be helpful to you as you think about your content. This document, again, is available as a Word document or a PDF, and we once again strongly encourage you to download that and review prior to submitting your RFA. We have also pulled the rubric out specifically for those of you who are interested in seeing how the grant will be scored. This is a document that can assist you in your writing, particularly as you think about your program components and your narrative. The rubric, which as I download here, comes up in a way that you can be sure to see how points are given. So we have 0 points for a weak or non-fundable explanation, all the way up to different designated points for extensive or strong documentation. Please feel free to download this as well. And if you have any questions about this, you can reach out to us regarding the rubric. Last but not least, as previously mentioned, we have provided both a checklist for you and the template for the Student Needs Survey. This Student Needs Survey can be a really nice way for you to collect some of that preliminary title data that will be required for you to submit in your application. The checklist is a way for you to organize your application and your thoughts. Let me grab this document so you can see what I am referring to. So in the RFA checklist, we have broken this into 3 sections for you. We have a pre-application component, we have the application requirements, and we have post-submission. So when you're doing your pre-work, you'll want to consider the following bullets. Have you reviewed all RFA instructions, the rubric, and the application? Have you determined and confirmed your site eligibility based on your Iowa Department of Education accredited status and your free and reduced price lunch percentage using that link that is provided on the landing page? Have you confirmed that you are in compliance if you are a past grantee? Have you attended a technical assistance session? While not required for the grant, we do strongly encourage this as it's a great way to ask and answer your questions. Have you completed your student needs assessment? Have you held your private school consultation meeting and completed the log required? We have provided a template within the application for you to do so. Have you completed your letter of intent? And then finally, have you downloaded the PDF of the application so that you can work at your own pace and prepare to enter your data into the online platform and upload all required documents at the same time? Remember, you will not be able to save your work in the platform. When you prepare to upload and submit, it will need to be done all at the same time. When you're submitting your application, we will be asking for your application information, which includes the following bullets: agency contact information, project director contact information, data collection contact information, fiscal contact information, your DUNS number, and then there is also a section for past grantees, which is required information about your most recent grant. There are several forms located in the platform that will need to be downloaded, completed, and uploaded for your submission. These include the legal status of applicant, request for competitive priority, minority impact statement, private school consultation meeting log, sustainability planning and previous sustainability form, your community partner official notice. This is, if applicable, if you are a community-based organization applying, you will need to complete that document. Assurances and agreements, your collaborative signatures, and finally, your MOUs, which stands for Memorandums of Understanding. You are required to submit a minimum of 5 with the capacity to submit up to 10. We are also interested in your site information, including your school information, including total enrollment, free and reduced price lunch percentage per building, and proposed number of youth to be served in your program. Operational information, such as before school, after school, and summer proposed start and end dates and time, and your proposed family engagement activities, which is a requirement of 21st Century Community Learning Center grants. There is a financial section, which includes your completion of section D1, which is the funding request summary, and then the uploading of forms D2, a budget document, and forms D3, budget document, including partner contribution. The final section of financials is D4, which is your financial resource information. We will also ask you to complete information regarding basic service components, which are informational questions that we are seeking regarding best practices at your site and your plan to implement those best practices. And then finally, your project narrative, which is broken down into these sections. They include an abstract, your student needs assessment, project, research-based, management and sustainability plan, a communications plan template, which is also available for you to download, complete, and then upload into the system, a description of your partnerships, evaluation, budget narrative, and then we have also offered the ability for sites to upload supplemental materials, which is at a limit of 2 pages. Once all of this is complete, you will be asked to review your application and submit your proposal. After you submit, you'll want to ask yourself, did you receive a success message after submitting that application? If your application has errors, the fields will be highlighted in red and it will prevent you from uploading your application successfully. You will need to enter data into those red fields. Even if it's an NA or a 0, each field needs to have information in it. Upon submitting your document, you will receive an automatically generated email confirming the receipt of that application. This will come from the email address sppg@sppg.com. Please check your junk or spam folders to see if this email is in there. If you do not receive the message, please reach out to me, Crystal Hall, at the Iowa After School Alliance, and I will follow up directly with you. We also encourage you to review the post-application calendar of important dates, including when your document will be reviewed and when award notices will be made. And then finally, within 2 business days of submitting your application, you will receive a full PDF of your complete application from myself, from the Iowa After School Alliance. Okay, as I said, if you have questions about the request for application or the online platform, and we can be of assistance to you, please reach out to Vic Jarvis with his email here, or myself and my email here. So with that being said, we are ready to start the application. The first page of the application, and you can see we have a guide. Oh, I'm very sorry. Again, we want to be clear that you will not be able to save the narrative sections or the information as you progress through this. So we suggest that you start this all at the same time and have the information ready to upload all in one sitting. So this pop-up window will come up, and we'll have you start your application. We have that reminder message here, as well as a reminder of not using your browser's back, forward, or refresh buttons. You will lose your progress if that continues to happen. If you need to navigate from page to page, you can do so by hovering this line and watching for each of those pages to light up in red before clicking on them. The first page of the request for application regards your application information. This is the information about you and your site. You can see also on your screen, we have some light colored gray text asking you to submit your answers in an appropriate form. That will be sprinkled out throughout the entire application process. So for here, this is where you'll be entering in your site or school information, the county or counties where you're located or you serve, the amount of money requested, and this is where you can make sure this aligns with Form D1, your agency director, and then if your project director is different from your agency director, you'll be asked to complete a section about your project director as well. Again, you'll note that we have some guidance in this light gray text in each of the boxes. So for example, your zip code should be a 5-digit zip code. Your phone number should include area code with the direct number to call. We are asking each site to include their DUNS number, your data collection and evaluation contact, as well as your fiscal contact. And a note here, your fiscal contact should be your school or organization's chief financial officer or your business manager. This is the person who will be responsible for the financial management of your grant. Before we move on to the next page, if you are a past grantee, you will need to indicate as such, and then there will be additional questions for you to consider. If you are a past grantee, you are required to fill out this section. And as you can see, we're asking you questions about non-compliance, if you've met your attendance goals, to provide your enrollment numbers and your average daily attendance numbers in the text box, if you've met your academic goals, if you've met your local evaluation goals, and this is based on percentage. We want to know if your office referrals have been reduced, if you've been providing children with a required snack or a full meal, the number of parent engagement meetings, and the number of field trips that you have taken. And you can see in these fields, you can use the toggle to go up or down. You can also just directly enter a number into those areas. We would like to know about charging fees, how many community partners for sustainability have been recruited, if you've participated in your required committee work in the most recent year of your most recent grant, and if you've attended professional development offerings. So these questions provide data on the effectiveness of existing programs, and we monitor those as required by ESSA and the Iowa Grant Agreement Performance Monitoring section. Once this page is complete, you're ready to move on. Our next page is our form page. This page includes all of the forms that will need to be downloaded, completed, and then uploaded into the system. To do so, you simply need to click the light gray button until it turns red, hover that until it turns red, click download. At that point, the document will be ready for you to take a look at, so we can open the document. Let me grab that so you can see it on the screen. This is the legal status of applicant document. You'll be able to check the appropriate box that describes you and your institution, complete the areas that have the gray boxes required, indicate the type of community you're in, and then save this document so that when you return to the website, you can now click or hover this blue plus sign upload completed form, which will then take you to an appropriate window where you can grab the document you need and upload it into the system. When you do that, here's my legal status of applicant. You'll note directly below it, it tells you that the legal status of applicant document as a PDF has been uploaded into the system. You'll want to do the same thing for your request for competitive priority, and I'll review that document in just a moment. Your minority impact statement, your private school consultation meeting log, your sustainability planning template and previous sustainability form. If you are a past grantee, you will need to upload your sustainability form. Your community partner official notice. This is required for community-based organizations only. Your assurances and agreements, collaborative signatures, and then finally, your MOUs. As mentioned a few minutes ago, you are required to submit at least 5 MOUs. You can submit up to 10, so please note that. I do want to take a moment to review the request for competitive priority document because we have some new indicators this year that may be interesting to some people as you're submitting your application. So let me grab that document and we'll share it on the screen. When you are requesting competitive priority, you are essentially requesting an additional point value to be assigned to your application for serving youth or serving clientele that come from situations that warrant a higher level of points. You simply need to hover the box, double check it, and then click checked to indicate that that is a measure that you hope to receive competitive priority points for. The first competitive priority point opportunity is for service to children and youth in schools that are designated as comprehensive or targeted according to the Iowa School Performance Profile and is jointly submitted as a collaboration between local education agencies receiving Title I funds and a community-based organization or other public or private entity that contributes to the program. Please note that it is best practice for applicants to serve a minimum of 50% of the free and reduced price lunch children at each school in the application to receive the bonus points. Note, this collaboration cannot include a vendor. A vendor is a partner that you would be providing service, that provides service to your program, and you would be paying them to do so. You are required to provide 2 pieces of documentation for this particular piece of, for this particular competitive priority section. The first is a screenshot from the Iowa School Performance website indicating that the school buildings that you propose to serve are indeed comprehensive or targeted. The second would be an MOU recognizing that joint submission. And there are instructions here about how to do that. We would like you to compile all of your documentation sources into a single file to upload within this document. The second way you can earn competitive priority points is through serving youth who are experiencing higher levels of child poverty. If you are serving youth in a county that has a higher than 17% child poverty rate, you may receive 5 additional points. We have provided a web link here through the Data Center of Kids Count to be able to see if your county meets this criteria. You'll be asked to enter your county name and the child poverty rate, and then again, further documentation compile into a single document to upload with this document. If you propose to serve a rural community and a community with a population of 2,499 or below is considered rural, you can receive up to 5 additional points. Here is an example of documentation that is needed. You can look up your city population at this link, provide the information here, and then again, a screenshot of that web page to be compiled into the same document to be uploaded with all requests for competitive priority. If you are proposing to serve a full meal daily and can provide evidence of this partnership by either an agreement, contract, or MOU with a school food system or a local food bank, you could potentially earn 5 additional points. And then finally, if you are proposing to serve middle school or high school age youth and you plan to implement a career and technical education component within your program, you can apply for this to receive 5 additional points. Your documentation will be evidence of a partnership with a local college or university. Once you have all of your screenshots and MOUs saved, you'll want to include those on the back end of this document and upload it as one continuous document into our system. Okay, I'm going to go back to the RFA application. If you have questions about additional forms or documentation, I would encourage you to participate in our technical assistance sessions, in which we will go through these with some detail. We are now on our site information page. This site information provides us a snapshot to look to see the types of program offerings you will be providing to youth from the years 2022 to 2025. We recognize that things may change within your program during the time, but this will allow us and the reviewers to be able to take a look at the different types of plans that you're considering and how you plan to serve kids. So once again, we would like your school or your site name here. We're also looking for you to provide information about your targeted schools. If you're planning to serve Washington, Jefferson, and Lincoln Elementaries, you can list each of those on these sites. We would like to know for each of those schools the grade that's served. Is it K through 3, K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 10? Indicate in this line what grades are served by the appropriate school. We'd also like to know the total enrollment of that school and that particular school's free or reduced price lunch rate. Then we switch gears to want to ask questions about the youth that you will be serving. What grades will your program serve at this particular school with your out-of-school time program? How many youth do you plan to serve before school, after school, and in summer? Now, if your site is not proposing to serve a before school program, you can simply enter a 0 here. If your school is a summer only program, you could enter a 0 here and a 0 in the after school box, and then indicate your summer programming only. Do that for your entire group, and then you'll want to make sure that these total numbers at the bottom are correct math. We are then looking for you to provide some information about your before school site operations. Please note that each of these fields is required. If you are not providing a before school operation, you will need to put an NA in each of these boxes. For your estimated start date, we have provided a calendar template for you to choose whichever day makes sense for you to start. We can do by year and by month. So if you're planning to start on September 7th, which is right after the holiday, you could make that choice. And then the same for the end date. So you can scroll through and you can find, let's say June 3rd, and that will be your end date. You'll need to figure out what your total number of service days is going to be. And again, we know that that could potentially change because we do live in Iowa and there is such a thing as bad weather. but how many days are you proposing to serve with your before school program? Then we want to know your start time. Will you be starting at 7 a.m.? Will you be starting at 7:30? Let us know what time you plan to start on each day of the week and what time you plan to end on each day of the week. You'll notice that we've included a column for Saturday here, as some sites are considering offering a weekend component to help bridge some gaps that we know have been popping up due to the global pandemic and academic support. Saturdays are not a requirement of the grant, but it is an option that is allowable if your site so chooses. You'll then want to total up the total hours per day and let us know the total hours of before school services in a typical week. Again, if you are not providing a before school opportunity, you'll simply indicate NA in each of these fields. The same pattern can be seen in an after-school site operations section. Choose your start date and your estimated end date, your total number of service days, your start time, your end time, your hours, and then your total number of hours per week in a typical week average. Summer has the same concept. Your proposed start date for summer, your end date for summer, the total number of days proposed, when you would start and when you would end. And you'll note in the lighter gray text in this situation, we have indicated that your start time for many sites is probably in the morning, and then many sites continue into the afternoon. If your site is different, you can enter in the appropriate times. The total number of hours again, and then tell us how many hours of summer service will be in a typical week for you. If you are not offering a summer program, you can once again put NA in these boxes. We would also like to know what you're planning for your family engagement component. All 21st century programs are required to host a minimum of 4 family-centered events each year. A general rule of thumb is 1 per quarter. Examples of these events include things like back-to-school celebrations, literacy nights, family game nights, recreational events, guest speakers, and so on. In this first text box, we would like you to tell us what it is you're thinking at this point for your family engagement event. So we've provided an example in the light gray text here for you. So an example would be quarterly family events, each lasting 2 hours, and then provide an activity description. So this box might have something like family literacy night, 2 hours, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Families will engage with youth by book sharing or developing comic books or things of that nature. So just a brief description of your activity there. We would also like to know by school how you're planning to roll out those family engagement events. It would be a best practice to have family engagement at each school building or combined efforts with attempts to reach as many families as possible. So again, using our example from above, if you're serving kids at Washington Elementary or Lincoln Middle School or Jefferson High School, we'd like to know how many family engagement events you're planning and the estimated total number of adult family members served. And again, to be clear, family members could also include caretakers or any other adults that's in that child's life. So if you have questions about that, again, don't hesitate to reach out. Once this section is complete, we're ready to move on to the next section. We're now at the financial section of the tutorial. We have made a funding estimator available to you for download. This will help you to be a resource, as this tool is designed to assist you in determining an appropriate budget request. This is also a way for you to think about your partner contributions and then deduct that for an accurate estimation of your request. So if I download this form, let me share this document with you on screen. you will see that we ask to have you figure an amount per child using this calculated rate for after school only, before and after school, and summer school. So again, you'll have to consider what you are offering to figure out your calculation. The number of students that you plan to serve in year one, and please note that we do monitor attendance in our federal data reporting system. So we'll want you to put in your best guess of youth to be served here, the number of days you will operate, and then your allocations. So again, this tool is not required for the grant. It is strongly suggested that you use this tool to be able to better understand your funding request. Once you have an idea of the amount of funds you'll be looking for, we ask that you complete the application funding request summary. So you'll want to fill in here the number of program sites, the total number of students being served, your first year funding request, and the total of all 3 years of your funding site. We are then going to ask you to provide some building specific information regarding the programs to be served through your summer school. And then forms D2 and D3 are a comprehensive breakdown of your budget. Again, these are documents that you can download, complete, and then upload into the system. And once again, if you click on the Upload Completed form, you can choose the appropriate document, and it will show as an Excel document here, just right under that blue button. If you happen to click on the wrong thing and you need to remove something, you just simply need to click that X and it will remove, but your button will highlight again in red, letting you know that you are still needing to upload the correct document. The last section of financials is your applicant agency's fiscal resource information. This is where we are going to take some information from you to ensure that you have fiscal resources lined up for your startup costs and your operational costs. So you'll want to check the appropriate box, whether you're a public entity or a private nonprofit organization, and then provide your documentation here. Again, budget questions will be more thoroughly discussed in our technical assistance sessions. This tutorial is just simply designed to walk you through the pages of the process so that you have a better understanding of how the online platform works. The next page that we will review includes your basic service components. This time we're looking for your school or your site or building name once again. We would like to know if you're offering a full meal, if you have access to a backpack program, and or if you're providing a snack. You will be able to click on each of these buttons, and you can click as many as that are applicable to you. And then finally, here are some statements regarding your intention to follow best practices. So we'll have you read through those and make the appropriate choice. Last but not least, the narrative component of the application. Again, we strongly encourage you to save the narrative sections of the application in a Word document or Google document, whichever you work on in your world. You will not be able to save and go back. So please consider that as you're working on this application. We have limited characters in each of the sections, and I'll review those in just a moment. Please note that 4,000 characters is the equivalent to 1 page of text using the Arial font with a size 12. We do recommend that you use Arial as size 12 when you're completing this, because that way it will align with the character limits within the online platform. The first section of the abstract is not scored. This is a summary of each of the narrative sections and documentation, which I'll address in just a moment, of your competitive priority status. So again, on the forms page, you should have completed that request for competitive priority with those screenshots or evidence uploaded into the system as one document. That will complete this component of the abstract. There is an 8,000 character limit, including spaces, for your abstract section. And we do want to indicate to you that some features like tabbing or inserting tables or graphics or hyperlinks will be unavailable in the online platform. When you are working in your Word document, please cut and paste into this text box here, and then review for accurate spacing, bullets, things of that nature, as a way to make sure that the information is displaying in the way that you intended it to. If you have tables or graphics and you would like to include them to further make your case with your application, we do have an area at the end where you can provide supplemental information. It's a tab that you'll be able to document and upload into the system. We are limiting that to 2 pages. Each of these sections will ask you for the types of information we are looking for. In your student needs assessment section, there are 20 possible points here. This section describes in detail the needs assessment, your objective data, and resources available, as well as a description of how these conclusions were reached. So this section should include, and you'll see that we have bullets there, including the types of information that should be seen in this particular section. These bullets, along with any other notes or other types of information, align with our rubric for you to be able to put in some high quality narrative. And that is the same for each section in our document. For your student needs section, you have a character limit of 12,000, including spaces. And again, we have the continuous reminder here that tabbing, tables, graphics, and hyperlinks will be unavailable. We're looking for project information for a total of 24 possible points. And here are the requirements here. We have also included a link to the 14 eligible federal activities if you need a refresher on the types of activities or information that is both required and suggested by the 21st century. This section has a 16,000 character limit. The research base is worth 5 points. And here we're looking for a description of that research, including citations. So that's all to be included in this section. This section has a 4,000 character limit. Your management and sustainability plan at 20 points. And again, we have our bullets here. This is a 16,000 character limit. A reminder, use the Arial font, 12 points, and you should be pretty close to accurate where that's concerned. Your communications plan is submitted in the form of a template. For this particular section, we're looking on your plan. We're looking for your plan to perform your communication and outreach strategies. So we'll want to see your plan to share that program information with the larger community, your plan to share your local evaluation document, and your plan to communicate with individual groups such as parents or other stakeholders. For this section, again, we have a template that you can download. So let me show you this document. And you can hover that. And when the document pulls up, share this on my screen with you. We have provided some example text here to help guide this process for you. And then here is where you will insert your own strategies. So as an example, your outreach strategy might include a parent newsletter that will be sent out monthly. It will be sent electronic via email, but you also may choose to post a hard copy at your site. Your audience is the parents of enrolled youth, and you're hoping to reach 100 moms and dads or caretakers. And then we've also included a notes column if you'd like to provide a little bit of text regarding any additional information you feel could be valuable here. So you'll see that we have the note here to be sent the first Friday of the month. The next example is your advisory committee meeting. These would be held quarterly. This could be held in person or via Zoom or Google Teams or whatever platform you use. Your audience here is your advisory committee members, which includes parents, representatives from the school, stakeholders, and youth, and you have 10 people involved. And then as a note example here, I provided agenda to include the following standing items, which includes progress towards goal, communications, enrichments. You will have more specific information there. And again, we've provided a yearly example as well. So perhaps you plan to share your annual strategic plan, electronic via website, hard copy for presentations as needed. You'll be presenting that to stakeholders at a rate of 150 people reached. And this will include feedback gathered from your identified groups. We also want to know where your local evaluation will be posted, and just a friendly reminder that each year of your grant application will have to have the local evaluation posted at the identified website. So it will say, we love our local evaluation.com year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, however you distinguish that. You could also distinguish it by school year if that makes more sense. And then finally, please share with us your local media links. So if you have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever you have, we would love to know that information here. Once that document is complete, again, we would ask that you then choose your upload completed form. And again, you can choose from the selected box. And you'll see that we have an example here. That's not the right thing. I'm sorry. I forgot to preload that, so that's my fault. But you'll be given the same message where you have the link below. If again, you hit the wrong button, simply click that X and upload the document from there. The next section of the narrative is on partnerships. This, again, here are the bullets asking for the description to be provided in the text box. And there is an 8,000 character limit, including spaces for this section. One thing I also want to point out to you, which I should have pointed out to you earlier, you do have some capability in these text boxes to use bold, italics, or underline. You can change font size within the box, although I wouldn't recommend that because, again, you have your character limits to consider. You can also think about alignment, numbering, and bullets within the boxes. If you're finding something doesn't quite transfer well from your Word or Google Doc into the system, you may be able to adjust here. The last two sections of the narrative include evaluation at 10 possible points and 8,000 character limit, and then your budget narrative at 10 possible points with the 8,000 character limit. So that rounds out the application narrative. As previously mentioned, if you have charts or graphs or anything else that you feel would be helpful to your application, you are able to upload as a supplemental material document. So we ask that you scan all of your documents into a single file and label it appropriately, and this is limited to 2 pages. So you can hit that button and upload those supplemental materials there. At this point, you are ready to review your application. So immediately, it's going to ask you if you're ready to submit. You'll have an opportunity to scroll through and double check all of your information that you've inserted, for accuracy. You'll also note that if there is required information that perhaps you missed, there could be a red box. So, for example, this box right here may have kind of a red outline around that. You'll be able to correct that. And then once you've reviewed the whole thing, you'll be able to come down here and submit your application. Now, if you have missing fields, it will flag you. So you can see here that it's asking me to upload my request for competitive priority. It's also asking me to upload my minority impact statement and so on and so forth. And that will ultimately show up in each of these. Now, because I didn't actually complete the information in here, again, you can see there's these red boxes around these required fields. So it's built in as a safety measure for you so that if you get to the end of your application and you're missing some information, you can go back in and make these corrections. Once you have done all of those corrections, you will receive a pop-up window that says, "Success. Your application has been submitted. Sorry, folks. Your application has been submitted." You will then want to check your email from confirmation from that sppg@sppg.com and letting you know that the application was successfully submitted. And then again, within 2 business days of that submission, we will forward to you a complete PDF of your application. So this wraps up our tutorial on how to use the platform. We hope that you have benefited from this and that you have found the information useful. As always, you are welcome to reach out with any questions or concerns that you might have. If you have questions regarding the application itself, you can reach out to Vic Jarris at this information here, this vic.jarris@iowa.gov. Vic is also able to answer questions for you regarding 21st century programming overall. If you have questions about the online platform, or if you also have questions about the RFA itself, I am also available to you. I can be reached at chall@sppg.com. Thank you so much for your time. We wish you nothing but the best, and good luck with your application.